Hello beauties! Welcome back to Beauty Within, where we chat all things skincare, self-care, and healthy living to find our beauty within. Today we'll be diving deep into essences, what they are, do we need them, and how to best apply them.
But before that, let's take a little trip down memory lane, shall we? Because doesn't it seem like the older we get, the more we come to really appreciate the simple things and the activities and the process in which we do these things. And growing up, especially if you were part of an Asian household, things like drinking tea was as frequent as it was your water, you know?
We're discovering teas to be great beverages to consume, as well as a superstar ingredient in our skincare products.
Bing! Like this could almost be a toner.
Yeah, it's practically a toner. And for those of you who guessed correctly in our previous teasers, we want to give a huge shout out to Amorepacific for sponsoring today's video. You guys know how much I absolutely love and adore their vintage single extract essence. And I gave it to Fel in our routine swap, so she also tried it for a week and absolutely fell in love with it as well. So we were floored, to say the least, when they reached out to us.
And we understand the product is a little bit on the pricier side, but we still stand by what we've always said, that there are more affordable options. But the more we learn about Amorepacific and the brand and how their essence is really made, we have to really share the process because it lies within the range of skincare products that deserve more education.
And to share the love, we'll be giving away 10 of the vintage single extract essences, which we'll share more about later in the video, so stay tuned.
Yay! We tried to look like green tea leaves today.
With some green tea leaves in our cups.
Okay guys, what in the world are essences? We've heard the word fly around in articles, skincare videos, but I don't know, did you know what truly it was?
Well, to tackle this question, the easiest way to define essence is to probably define what it is not.
First of all, contrary to what a lot of us might actually assume, it's not a toner, but we don't blame you for thinking that because in terms of consistency and texture, it does it replicates a toner, but let's break this down a little more.
A toner has different formulations, some that have formulations for controlling oil production, some contain chemical exfoliants to gently resurface the skin, and others with soothing and calming ingredients. So there's an assortment of different functions when it comes to different toners.
And it's not a serum either, because serums are obviously that more viscousy, goopy texture that we've all come to know.
So in essence, facial essences lie right in between the two steps, so you can think of them as the love child of a toner and a serum.
Yes, so the lightweight consistency makes it super easy to layer and very quickly absorbed by any skin type and skin tone, just like a toner, but it's packed with the concentrated ingredients like a serum.
And the main goal is to offer intense hydration. And secondly, to prepare our skin for next steps in the routine, like serums, ampoules, and moisturizers.
Still don't know how to say it to this day.
The ingredients of essences are also easily absorbed by our skin cells because they tend to be formulated at a lower molecular weight for maximum absorption and deeper penetration through the layers of our skin.
And let's see how skin penetration of our products can really look like when you apply a toner, a serum, or cream. This is applied across the uppermost layer of our skin called the stratum corneum, and depending on the size and chemical properties of the ingredients, there are three things that can happen.
One is that the ingredients are small and permeable, which will be taken in by our skin cells and processed. Ingredients like vitamin A, B, and C.
And then second is that they're larger and non-permeable, and these ingredients are too large to be taken up and absorbed by our skin cells, and so they'll move between the cells in the mortar area of the skin. So in between the bricks. Yes.
Third is that the ingredient property is large and non-permeable, which means it's also not absorbed by the skin cells, but will run into and be absorbed by some glands known as epidendial absorption before being released into the bloodstream.
So you can see different formulations, different ingredients will travel to different areas of our skin, which is why skincare is so interesting. Okay, so let me know if you guys know what reference movie I'm talking about. A wise man once said, "Moisture is the essence of wetness, and wetness is the essence of beauty." Do you know what it is?
Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Moisture is the essence of wetness, and wetness is the essence of beauty.
It's like in the water swimming with this fish thing. But I thought that quote fits so perfectly in this.
So like Fel's example that she just shared with us, that is what essences are. They are just very, very hydrating ingredients in like water form,
Yes.
which makes it a bit different from toners because although toners are also very hydrating, depending on what the ingredients in there, it can be more a chemical exfoliation, it can be more for balancing, but bringing it back to essences, they're mostly all very soothing and calming ingredients, which is to us like the most apparent differentiation between the two.
Yeah.
To us, it could be used interchangeably in terms of the steps in your routine.
So now that all makes sense, let us show you one of the most pure essences that you might have heard us talk about or mention quite a few times. Ding! The vintage single extract essence. What a
Just
mouthful.
put it in here. Just put some in my tea.
Yeah. Yes, tea break. Actually getting quite thirst. Man, this tea is so good.
谁的?
Taiwanese 高山茶.
Oh.
The creme de la creme of tea. God's blessed Taiwan with great tea.
Tea, yeah.
Share your story about how you actually came across this bottle of greatness.
So,
Once upon a time.
once upon a time, I was with a dear friend of ours named Leah Yu. She was raving about Amorepacific as a brand. And I was online perusing for skincare products. And when I went onto Amorepacific's website, I was looking at different products and this one just stood out. I got it, I used it, and I've never turned back since.
So prior to that, were you using any sort of essence?
Yeah, I think before then we were using Tatcha's essence and there's just so many K-beauty essences that we've come across.
And that's true because essences were really only predominant in the K-beauty realm.
Yeah.
Because I think it did come from like the Asian region of
Yeah.
skincare and then came over to more of the US, and then you can see now more Western brands kind of adopting this idea and philosophy of hydration and essences. So that's interesting.
So there's three main reasons why we love the vintage essence, and we think the first one is going to blow your mind as it has ours. It's one single ingredient.
Yeah.
This is why it's called the vintage single extract essence.
And there's a lot that goes into being able to make a product like this with just one ingredient and giving all the benefits. So let's look into that a little bit, shall we?
So in Korea, Camellia sinensis leaf extract is the first and only ingredient. And in the US, although the formulation is exactly the same, the ingredient list is a little different due to different regulations, but it's still the most potent form of green tea oxidant essence you can find on the market. So how is this different from other formulas and why is that so special?
Like obviously we don't know the process of all other skincare brands, but what normally happens is that you have an extraction, say green tea, and then it's mixed in with water because the water is the base usually for a lot of essence products. But most other essences then go through a second layer of adding even more ingredients into it. So either that's more water or even things like humectants or sometimes alcohol. This is where it kind of formulates the other basis of the formulation, and then it becomes their product. So then by the end, you have more of this kind of, not diluted because it depends on what they want the formula to be, but it's not as like potent and pure as this. And we also want to like make it clear it's not good or bad as well, because you know having other ingredients in there can also really benefit the skin, other humectants and other hydrating products.
Fel has a really good example for all you coffee drinkers out there, or even not. It's a great analogy.
Yes, it totally is. Okay, coffee lovers. So, you know, when you grind your coffee and then you get an espresso, it's the concentrated coffee drip with a little bit of water, right? But you drink it and it's like straight to the head. Whereas if you have something like a latte or a cappuccino, you're actually adding milk into it after the espresso. Although it still tastes good, it's different. You know, it's a different product altogether. And I think that's a really great analogy to kind of look at it. It's like a potent form, works its magic. Others, still great, but just a little different.
And that is the espresso.
That is the espresso.
This is the espresso.
Espresso to the face.
The story starts from growing the tea leaves. So it's grown in their very own tea garden called the Dolsongi Tea Garden on Jeju Island. And these tea leaves are handpicked. It's very precisely handpicked with the less dominant hand.
Yes.
And it is picked at dawn.
Yes.
All very, very precise.
Yes, everything is very calculated. I think it's really interesting because seasonality and the weather has a lot to do with how things are grown. Like if you know about coffee, even 1 degree can fluctuate the quality of the coffee bean before it's plucked, right? Which is why it's such a lucrative business and so much money goes into it. But yeah, it's the same as leaves because they are also living.
Yeah, and we'll get into more of why the environment that these tea leaves are grown in are just the most phenomenal and beautiful places that something like this can be grown.
Yeah.
But for now, continue on to fermentation.
Yes, fermentation is really interesting because this is where all the potent antioxidant properties really come from. Then it goes on to the fermenting and aging process of this product, and both of them go for 50 days each. So you really have to kind of like let it stew, do its thing. And the interesting thing is that it all happens in a very traditional ongi drum, which is where they put the tea leaves for the 50 days before it starts getting extracted. Ooh.
Yes, and this process helps to boost the scent and effect of the tea leaves. That's crazy.
Yes.
100 days total.
It's like elevating the vibrations of the leaf to be its best self. It truly is though.
It's like, be still.
Yes.
Ferment in the
Take your
quiet
time.
night.
Self-care yourself.
And then we will come back for you.
Yes. Which then leads to the extracting process of it.
Yes, which is 24 hours, drop by drop. I think like this is just the essence of slow self-care and everything that we're advocating for these days. So at this point, it's been about 100 days and 24 hours.
So moving on to the second reason why we feel like our skin really is radiant and glowing after using it is that it comes down to fermentation of the ingredients. So we mentioned this in that previous part about how fermentation actually happens, but just recap is that when any ingredient goes through this fermentation process, it really brings out and amplifies benefits of it on our skin.
Yes, good things take time. So the fermentation process helps break down the actives even more to allow better absorption into our skin. More specifically, when green tea is fermented, it is said to boost its antioxidant levels. That's crazy. Yeah.
So something like a beer or any alcoholic beverage also goes through a fermentation process where you start off with a single source, which is green tea for this one, and then you add some sort of yeast or sugar, which then creates like the alcohol. And we're thinking this is the reason why they don't need to add additional alcohols to preserve this product, because it's through that natural process that it almost just like cultivates itself, you know,
self-sustaining.
protects it. Yes, which then makes sense why it's not irritating and it's so skin soothing and skin like softening and giving us all those benefits that we want from a product in the most natural form. Without like being a clean beauty kind of natural, it's like truly natural.
Moving on to the last and final reason, the reason that we can visibly see the most is that green tea, if used in the long run, can help with brightening. And of course, hydration is just a daily thing if you were to use it daily. So let's first talk about the benefits of green tea.
To get started, this baby is a treasure chest of antioxidants. And the thing is, green tea is so fantabulous because it's not just hydrating, brightening, it's also balancing, it's also anti-aging because it's working to protect your skin against things like UV, free radicals, pollution, everything. So it's this whole gamut of benefits.
Yeah, there's also flavonoids, there's catechins, one of which is unique to green tea, known as EGCG. Not even gonna bother trying to pronounce that. Khaled. There we go. And this is the active component in green tea that's responsible for working its magic, like calming inflammation, soothing the skin, and regulating sebum production.
And another really great benefit is the presence of tannins in green tea, which is a natural astringent compound, and it can help minimize the appearance of large pores, manage sebum production, which is really important for oily folk. But it really does, you know, balancing is really important. Balancing in life, balancing of like skin hydration collagen levels, to prevent breakouts, to prevent hyperpigmentation, to prevent overcorrection of, you know, oily, dry areas on the skin. So green tea is one of the best ingredients for that.
So we've been talking about green tea for a few years now on this channel. The founder of Amorepacific chanced upon Jeju Island when it was still
Decrepit. It was just
barren.
empty.
Yeah, like it's not what it is today at all. It's not a vacation destination like the Hawaii of, you know, Korea, yeah. So the island was barren, but he realized that it was the perfect environment to grow green tea leaves because of the cool mountain breeze, the humid ocean conditions because it is an island, and the fact that they're grown on a slight incline, so all the tea leaves can get just enough light. So when you want to talk about just like the harmony of nature and balance of life and how everything just worked beautifully together to create this environment, he actually started one of the first research labs to formulate green tea into skincare products. So this may very well be one of the very first products to have green tea in our skincare products. History.
Apart from just applying tea bags straight onto our face, which I've also done. So now that we've learned about the entire process of what really goes into the formulation of this special bottle, let's go into how you specifically use it and how we use essences in general, because as we said, it is different to things like a toner. So first of all, I think the biggest difference that how we use essence is that we don't put it on a pad or we don't do anything to it. It's straight onto the palm.
Straight onto the face.
Straight onto the face.
Because if it's not onto my face, at least I can help moisturize and hydrate my hands.
Yes.
As opposed to putting it on a cotton pad where it'll soak up so much of the essence that I feel so guilty like tossing that away.
Yeah, that's a really important thing because sometimes toners are used after cleansing to further clean up any debris that's left over. But this is not a product that is there to clean up anything. It's really to, once again, like restore hydration. So you want all of that on the face. And it is a pretty penny, so nothing should go to waste.
So to use it, I gently shake it and then tip it onto the palm of my hand. And one thing I learned is don't put too much on your palms at once. If anything, add layers onto it, because there are times when I get a little too excited and it drips through my hands or just drips onto my sink and I'm like, no.
And then you're like,
So after washing my face, I very gently dab my face so that it's still like 25% wet. And then I'll just go directly with this on.
So let's say in your routine, you like using the full gamut of, you know, different skincare products. So you would cleanse your face and then you would go in with a toner of your choice, be it your chemical exfoliating toner, soothing toner, and then you would go in with the essence to prep it for anything like a serum, or you want to skip the serum and go straight to a moisturizer. So it sits beautifully in that middle portion of your routine.
Yeah, and Fel and I a lot of times will just skip the toning step and go straight into this.
Yeah, because it is very similar consistencies. I feel like on days that you're super dull, there is an advantage of like using a toner and an essence because it's great. It's just like, wash over me. Yes, and I love the fact that normally essences don't have any of those like oily emollient ingredients, so you can keep kind of layering it on, giving 15 seconds, 20 seconds in between to let it kind of do its thing, sink in a little bit, dry out a little bit, and then you apply without pore clogging, because you can't do that with a serum. Like, your skin will start getting sticky, you know, because it has the oils, yeah. And I feel like a tip with that is the more you kind of pack in the hydration of these really thin, lightweight layers, the less you might even have to wear or apply a moisturizer for oily skin. I know it might be a little bit different, like dry skin people will always need that like thicker base of moisturizer, but if you're like combination and oily, you can kind of more depend on these like hydration and then just seal it in at the end. Yeah.
And one thing that I found that's like a little tangent is that if I apply my CC cream right after I do skincare, it makes such a big difference than like applying it, I don't know, an hour or two or half a day after you do your skincare.
It's the opacity.
Yeah.
So when you apply it when your skin is like just finished with your skincare, it almost becomes an extension of...
It like blends into your skincare.
Yeah. But it doesn't have as much of that coverage. But when you leave like an hour and you applied it on dry, it's still beautiful and glowy, but it's more like
Opaque.
yeah, it's
Not
more
as
opaque.
glowy.
So it kind of depends on what kind of look you're going for. I was gonna say I like to use essences at night because at night is really my kind of self-care routine. Maybe sometimes in the day, instead of an essence, if you have time, you just use a face mask. And that's like kind of all you need, you know, whip on a moisturizer after that and you're done. But yeah, the nighttime, it's like, that's my luxury time. So however you want to use it. Because it's so high in antioxidants, it really works great in the day as well with your SPF.
And as we've said many times in the past, green tea is one of those ingredients that with prolonged use, you will see like benefits over time, and they're more subtle.
Yeah.
They're not going to be like chemical exfoliants. They're not going to be like instant first use, my skin is instantly brightened, but it is one of those ingredients that if I stop using, I'll notice like, my skin looks a little different.
So that is the Amore Vintage Single Extract Essence, in essence, and how we use it. And the key takeaways, I think, is we all need hydration, and it kind of comes down to what we always talk about. It really depends on your skin type, your situation. If green tea is something that you really love, like we do, then something like this product is great if you want to invest further into it.
And you want to see it be used maximally and have the most benefit in your skin, you can try something like this where it's like the purest form of the extract.
Yeah, because we've truly never come across anything that takes so much time and so much intention like put into every single facet of the process to bring this to life, which is why we're super excited to share with you guys, because we also learned a lot in it too.
So with all that being said, if you guys want to look more into Amorepacific and their essence, you can check them out in the link we have down below. And with that, as always, Felicia, what is one thing?
1/3.
What is 1/3 of the year? What is one thing you learned this week?
So one thing I've been thinking about is just a lot of reflection in this month, I think, which has highlighted humanity. I feel like it's so easy to have everything feel like they're coming at daggers towards different people, at you, at people you love, at people you don't know, and everything is like really confusing and chaotic at certain times. And I think we can all agree to this. As soon as you like turn on your social media, as soon as you watch something, you feel this like pressure almost and like energy of just what is happening. And I was thinking, how do you really break out of that? It's really to like restore like who we are as people fundamentally, to restore humanity, to restore like love and find not just differences, but the commonalities that we all share as human beings. And there's a big suffering to that, but I think what we need to do moving forward this year, I just want to see us all kind of like heal and come together through the shared humanity experiences and still enjoy what makes us human.
Yeah.
So whatever that means.
So I think going off of that as well, I think with so much extremities in our lives, like individually and collectively, it's just finding that middle ground. And I think when we really take a step back and try to talk to someone and try to open up and listen to them, we find that there's actually a lot of middle ground that exists between both of us that we can all agree on, that we can all exist in together. But it's just hard when everyone's trying to talk over the other side and like completely bypass that middle ground. But like the middle ground, as you said, is what makes us human, and it is shared humanity. Yeah.
So hopefully we can all do that together. And you know, skincare is just one aspect of community, and we're really grateful. Like we truly are grateful and happy to have you guys all on. So share whatever thoughts you guys may also be having in our comments below. We always want to hear, we always read them. And until next time, we want to thank Amorepacific for sponsoring this video to share with you guys this beautiful product. And we'll see you all very soon. Bye.